needed half-time. They were the better side for the last 10 minutes of the first half, and then we didn't deal with them second half. That's the honest truth of it. They outrun us.
Yeah, they did, and obviously it was a really, really tough place to go as well, St James's Park, and that place was rocking. So, disappointing game. But before that, sadly, we didn't have too long to enjoy it, but the 4-1 win at Brentford at Goodison Park for Frank Lampard's first game in charge in the Cup. Let's have a look at the highlights.
Looking for the breakthrough here at Goodison, and they've got it! Yerry Mina honours an early substitute, and it's paid dividends in a strange way. Not initially selected, but nodding home to give Everton the first goal in the Frank Lampard era. Here's Allen, Richarlison getting in behind, Richarlison's got there and scored for Everton. Just what those in the Gladys Street were looking for. Everton lead 2-0. Richarlison, to the delight of Frank Lampard. Is that the job done this afternoon? And we've got a chance to get back into it here, but Pickford has conceded a penalty. Up steps Tony. Can Pickford be the hero? No, he's gone the wrong way. Murray Gray. Mina's trying to beat it. It's in from Holgate. Everton have got a third. Mason Holgate in the FA Cup. Celebrates in front of those in the Gladys Street. He's got there to keep it for Everton. Townsend's made a run towards the penalty. He's got a touch from Iwobi. Townsend, brilliant! Seals the victory in style. 4 for Everton in the 4th round of the Cup. 4 big smiles all around Goodison. Frank Lampard is wearing the broadest of those smiles.
Feels a lot longer than a week ago, that one, and it was, of course, the perfect start for Frank Lampard, progressing to the 5th round of the Cup. And we've got Boreham Wood at home as well in the future, which is a nice little tie for us. But who impressed you in that game?
Do you know what? I think it was the best game I've seen Andre Gomez play for a long while. He dictated the pace of the game, and the way he manoeuvred the ball and his passing was excellent. I thought he was very, very good. Anthony Gordon impressed again. He looked nice and lively and positive in what he did. Nice to see Yerry Mina score from a corner as well. I mean, you look at the size of Yerry and you're thinking you should be scoring at least half a dozen of them a season.
Yeah.
So there was some. It was a great day for Frank and his staff. The atmosphere was absolutely sensational as well, and we're going to just try and replicate that today against Leeds.
We've got to replicate that today. We've got to get this place rocking. It's an absolutely massive game, and the players have arrived here at Goodison Park as well. So you're picking out Anthony Gordon as somebody who potentially could be, again, a real bright spark for everything. He's been fantastic, hasn't he?
He has been good. He's impressed. I still think there's more to come from him. He's got to keep his feet on the ground and not get carried away with it. You know, he's got to keep producing that level of performance, and that's the thing for all of the players at the moment. We're so inconsistent. You know, we play like we did against Brentford, and then we can't replicate that a couple of days later at Newcastle, and that's why we're where we are in the league, because we're not being consistent enough. So the players have got to, you know, look to get that, find that consistency from somewhere. And there's some difficult decisions for Frank here this afternoon. It remains to be seen what the side's going to be. We'll find out in a few minutes or so. But you know, they've got to be here. They've got to be up for it. You know, the players they've got to really raise their levels and push on and get the crowd behind them, because we know what a 12-man Goodison Park can be if we get that crowd going.
Definitely. Well, we were on the receiving end of it, weren't we, the other day when the Newcastle fans were so up for it, and you could see that it spurred them on, and it kind of rocked our boys a little bit, and we want to make it count. That's what the home advantage is for. We can see Donny van der Beek, there. Donny van der Beek. There's too many D's, Delhi.
I know,
yeah. But he came on, didn't he, in the game against Newcastle, and he looked quite good, didn't he, in that sort of pivot role?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Donny came on, but it's difficult for him and Delhi because neither of them have played a huge amount of football, and it's a tough place to get your fitness levels at enduring Premier League games of football where everybody else is up to speed. So, you feel for the pair of them a little bit. But we're running out of options in midfield at the moment as well. We're picking up injuries left, right and centre, and it's like, we've got a situation at the back that's going to have to be addressed here this afternoon as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see what side Frank puts out there today.
I've got to say, I know every team suffers with injuries, but this season for Everton, you just can't believe it, can you? You just mentioned the back, and we've got some real issues there at the moment. With Godfrey out, Mina is going to be out for some time now as well. Not too sure what the deal is with Mikolenko at left back at the moment. Obviously, he wasn't in the side on Tuesday night. But where does Frank look now? Are we looking to, Branthwaite to step in there? Will Seamus have to go left back? Will we have?
Yeah, I mean, there's John Joe Kenny's a possibility as well. And it remains to be seen. As I say, we'll find out soon enough. But obviously you could see that the injury to Ben was, it was a bad one. You could just tell by the way he could hardly walk off the pitch. And then obviously Vieri's situation, which is a bad quad injury, that's going to be 8 to 10 weeks, so they say. So, we're getting torn to shreds at the back. And there's, because and the thing about it is, that impacts what you can do on the night as well, and I think Frank touched on that, didn't he? The fact that we lost 2 players in the first half means he couldn't shuffle the pack in the way that he perhaps would have wanted to later on the game, i.e. bring his centre forward on.
Yeah.
In Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so he couldn't do it. So I would be surprised if Dominic doesn't start today. I mean, he's been out a fair while of time as well, and any side that loses their top man in terms of striker is going to struggle. Yeah. We haven't had that firepower with Dominic up top, for the majority of the season. So I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't start today, which means Richarlison will probably go out on the left-hand side. Anthony Gordon will go on the right-hand side. There's no Damari Gray as well, who's been one of our better players all season as well. So, there's big misses all over the park.
There is, you've got a feel for Frank Lampard there in his presser. He's saying all the right things. It's just facts. It's unfortunate that it's happened, but that's where we're at the moment. Yeah. And you said Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, it feels like we've barely seen him this season. Yeah. Do you think that will give the fans a lift as well? Just seeing your big number 9, your centre forward on the pitch.
Well, I mean, Goodison Park over the years has loved their number 9. I mean, it's the most important shirt on the pitch. The number, Everton's number 9, and Dominic, took up that role. And he was excellent last season. He hasn't really been able to get going at all this season. I mean, his start of the season, a couple of goals here and there, but he's had that long injury, and it's a player that still needs to gain time to get back up to full speed. So you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin catching up, Donny van der Beek catching up, Dele Alli catching up, and you're playing against a side again in Leeds that are fit. They're probably the fittest team, or one of the fittest teams in the Premier League. Yeah. So can we match their physicality as well? That's another question.
It's going to be so tough. And you touched on Dele before as well, and the in-game management that Frank had to, introduce. Obviously, given the unfortunate injuries in the first half to Mina and Damari Gray as well. Sorry. So Dele had to come on. Now, that wasn't an ideal start for Dele, was it, being thrown in like that? However, Frank did say that he will have benefited from that game.
Yeah, he will, and I totally agree with what you're saying, Sarah. I mean, I think in an ideal world, Dele and Donny probably would have both got 20 minutes in the second half at some point if we'd have been more in control of the game, or the injuries hadn't come about. So, but the plus side to that is he's had a good 60 minutes or so, whatever it was, 70 minutes. And he will benefit from having that game time, and hopefully, if he's picked to start today, that'll help him leg-wise as well.
Let's hope so. Will Dele be in the starting 11? We will find out in just over 2 minutes' time. So we've got potentially 2 Goodison debutants then, Donny van der Beek and Dele as well. We saw glimpses, and Frank mentioned that in his press conference as well. There will be moments that Dele was unhappy with in the game, of course, we know that. But there was little flashes of what he can do in time as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I think it's been well publicised that Dele's, not really been the player that everybody, saw dive onto the scene a couple of years ago, and he struggled. He's, one of his strengths was, making runs off from midfield and getting behind back fours and scoring vital goals. And we need that. We need goal input from players. So there's a bit too much reliance on the Richarlisons and the Dominic Calvert-Lewins over the last couple of seasons. We need goals from midfield players as well, and we're just hoping that Dele will bring us that. It's really interesting, does he play Andre Gomez again? I mean, Alan, you would imagine, would play because he's a natural sitting, holding midfield player, and you probably need one of them in the makeup of your side. So, does he go with Donny and Dele, or does he go with one of them? And
Alan and Donny,
it's the thing. The only thing that I'm thinking of is it a bit of a risk to play two midfield players that are playing catch up in terms of their fitness levels?
Yeah.
So there's things that, I mean, I'm sure Frank's had a couple of sleepless nights. They're not sure which way to go about it all, but as you say, we'll find out very, very soon.
Oh, he's been thrown in at the deep end, hasn't he, Frank Lampard? There's no doubt about that. He's come to the club. He knows we're not in a position that we want to be in or need to be in. We need to get out of this, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game against Leeds. We've got just over 30 seconds now until we see the starting 11, and then we can start to dissect, can't we? We can start to see properly, because we can speculate all we like, but we won't know what Frank's done until we see the team news shortly. And we've not even mentioned Nathan Patterson as well, of course.
Yeah.
Right back, he's yet to make his debut. He's mentioned Frank as well about in training. He didn't say that he didn't deserve his chance, but he said they've got to be ready, they've got to deserve their chance, and that's not to say that Nathan hasn't, but
No.
It's a tough time to throw people in. Oh, 10 seconds, sorry to cut you off there, Graham.
No, I'm more than excited to see what the side is.
I know we can talk about it more in a second,
yeah.
can't we, when we actually know how we're going to line up. So here we go then. Everton to face Leeds. Your starting 11 is as follows. In goal, as expected, is number 1, Jordan Pickford. Number 2, John Joe Kenny. 4, Mason Holgate. Number 5, Michael Keane. 6, Alan. 7, Richarlison. Number 9, there he is. Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets the nod to start in Royal Blue this afternoon. 17, Alex Iwobi starts today. 23, captain Seamus Coleman. There he is, that young man. Anthony Gordon, number 24. And a debutant, Donny van der Beek, or home debut, I should say. A first start for the club. Here are the substitutes for Everton: Asmir Begovic, Nathan Patterson, Andros Townsend, Cenk Tosun. Andre Gomez starts on the bench today. Jared Branthwaite, Salomon Rondon, Anwar Ghazi and Dele on the bench there as well. Let's have a look at our visitors today. Leeds United. Ilan Melier is in goal. Luke Ayling, Robin Koch, Rafina, Diego Llorente, Stuart Dallas, Rodrigo, Daniel James, who of course scored a brace earlier on this week, Pascal Struick, Jack Harrison and Matsus Klik as well. Let's have a look at the bench. You've got Clayson, Forshaw, Roberts, Bate, Gelhardt, Forheld, Somerville, Shackleton and Kennett as well. And of course the manager, Marcelo Bielsa. Fantastic manager, real legend of the game, someone that Frank Lampard's got great respect for. He's got a bit of history with Leeds as well, hasn't he, Frank? Obviously,
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
The derby situation, the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I think Frank's, his focus is clearly going to be on what we do today rather than any, history he's had with Leeds United. So, that's it's a decent side that Frank's managed to put out there as well. You would imagine, obviously, John Joe looks like he's probably going to play left back. Unless, well,
or Seamus.
Could go either way, couldn't it? Do you take Seamus out of his natural position, or do you just say to, John Joe, just go to left back and just do a nice solid job there? Yeah. Or Seamus goes to left back because he's a bit more experienced, and John Joe goes in his more natural right back place. Well, that remains to be seen as well. Got the Donny van der Beek one, and not Dele and Donny. I'd always wondered if that might be a bit of a risk. Yeah, maybe a bit of a risk for that one. So Alan sat there. Honestly, Donny van der Beek with him as well. Are we going 4-4-2? Anthony Gordon, Alex Iwobi, and Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up top. Are we changing our formation a little bit as well? All remains to be seen. I give up guessing. Every time I guess, I get it wrong. What formations, players, a lot.
This season's been a difficult one for that, hasn't it, Diamond, to be honest?
Well, it has. I mean, there's so many, it's good in a way because you can, you've got players who can play different positions. But I would guess that we're probably looking like going 4-4-2 with Richarlison maybe just off Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Oh, God, it's going to be a really, really intense game that today. But it is fantastic to see Dominic back in that starting 11 as well. I think for the home crowd, just seeing, as you said, the number 9, the weight that has at this club and the goals that he has produced for us over the last few seasons, even though he's obviously not going to be fully match sharp, you want him on the pitch, don't you?
Yeah, we've got to get him on the pitch. You win games of football by scoring goals. That stands to reason, obviously. So you want your best goal scorer on the pitch. We're going to have to afford him the time. It's as simple as that. There's still a bit of work in progress in terms of getting him back up to full speed. But the only way he's going to do that is to play games. So it's chicken and the egg sort of stuff, isn't it? So we've just got to get him out on the pitch, and hopefully he's nice and sharp. plays for as long as he possibly can, and hopefully sticks the ball in the back of the net. That would be nice.
Let's hope so. That would definitely be nice. A few times. A hat-trick. We're not asking for too much.
Yeah, not much, are we?
No, we just need a win. We absolutely need a win. But today is the Everton in the Community annual fixture, and our next VT is a little update on the People's Place. Check it out.
Yeah, but on site here, the People's Place. The People's Place will be a mental health and wellbeing hub. It'll be the first of its kind associated with the Premier League Football Club, and we're standing here in the shadows of Goodison Park, the home of Everton Football Club. In terms of the actual building, what will be delivered, it'll provide a space for a range of activities which are all proven to improve mental health. This will include physical activity, sport, and also education and employment related activities. In addition to that, we'll also provide a layer of professional support. We'll have a team of GPs, mental health professionals on site operating from here, so we can provide clinical services, importantly in this community setting, to achieve clinical outcomes. Another key aspect of the People's Place is that it's deliberately for everyone. We hear about how 1 in 4 people will experience poor mental health each year, and absolutely this is for them, but it's also for the 3 in 4 people, that may be deemed to have good mental health. And the reason for that is because everyone has mental health, and it's important that we prioritise that and we look after ourselves.
It's a real privilege, you know. We obviously built the hub in the Cruyff Court. And we're really pleased when we were awarded this contract. We call it the trilogy. So, you know, we are pleased that we've got it. It's superb. Everton in the Community are fabulous. What they provide locally and what they do is, you know, really privileged to work with them. It's fairly straightforward in real terms, but the egg is going to be difficult to build. It's unique. I've never built one before. So we're learning by the day, you know. It's completely curved, yeah. I think there's 3 different radii, all interlinked. And the idea is that I think it's 6 metres floor to ceiling. And the idea is that it's like a big atrium sort of space, quiet area.
It's something which it builds on our track record. We've delivered mental health related projects for almost 15 years now, and the People's Place will allow for a huge expansion of the work that we do. And it's also going to provide a significant contribution to the whole city region too, because it'll help to tackle the stigma which still surrounds mental health. It will help with normalising that conversation around mental health. Collectively, the work we do in terms of accessing the community, accessing workplaces, it'll help to alleviate the pressure on mental health services, particularly the NHS mental health services, and it'll also provide significant cost savings to the wider economy. We're very, very grateful for the funders and their funds and their support, because without them it wouldn't be possible. So the Football Foundation, Phil Brown and Causeway, and also Steve Morgan, the Steve Morgan Foundation, as part of the Community Match Challenge Fund with DCMS, they provided vital funding to make this a reality, and we're very much looking forward to having the People's Place become fully operational and providing that important support that we can do.
Welcome back to Everton Live. I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Christopher Pritchard, who is going to be working at the People's Place. Dr. Chris,
hi, nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Everton Live.
Thank you.
It's brilliant. We've just seen the VT there of the People's Place and the latest developments. It's fantastic, isn't it? And do you want to tell us a little bit more about what your role is going to be with the People's Place?
Of course, yeah. So about 2.5 years ago, I was given a fantastic opportunity by Mike Saller, who's the Health and Wellbeing Manager out in the community. So they offered me a great sort of job opportunity to work 1 day a week, helping people in terms of mental health, physical health, and that's carried on now, and it's sort of expanded. So we've got 2 more GPs, trainees working with us. We've got a whole host of medical professionals, and we're hoping to continue this in the near future.
Absolutely, it's brilliant. And, you know, we've seen that there's so much going on at the People's Place in terms of helping people, whether that be with mental health, with employment, with activities, you know, sports, stuff like that. But do you want to tell us about your role? Obviously, as a doctor, you'll be helping a little bit more with the clinical side of things, won't you?
Yeah, so we're looking to get some clinical outcomes from the People's Place when it starts up. So we know it's important to keep evaluating it, making sure it's the right thing for each person that comes and attends, and we know each person has different needs, so we're trying to make it specific for them when they come, whether it be physical health, mental health, combinations of two. We've got to look at try and do those sort of screening tools in terms of mental health, find out what their needs are, what professional input we can give them, or what other sort of services we can direct them towards. Everton and the community have lots of projects which are ongoing, so it helps the life course provision from birth up until our oldest participant, who's like 104. So we just started a new dads project for offering them mental health provision. We've got Tackling the Blues, which has been a long-standing project in terms of going into local schools with social deprivation, and that's complemented by a team of experts from Edge Hill University. We have our Girls On Side programme for teenage girls, offering them support. Imagine Your Goals, which offers loads of medical health and sort of input into those older adults. And we have our sort of royally acclaimed Veterans programme, which offers mental health for all sort of veterans that live in the area. The other thing that we're really keen on is looking at sort of dementia and helping those sort of carers and families that go to the Blue Base, so we'll be able to offer them some more support.
It is just fantastic, you know, everything you've listed off there, and it's going to make the People's Place, you know, a real fantastic facility or hub, you know, for well-being as well as everything else. It's to help people round their lives, isn't it, and improve people's general well-being and everything, and help them into jobs, whatever they might be struggling with. There's something that's going to be there for everybody with these, you know, developments making it even bigger and better than before too.
Yeah, I mean, mental health is a big problem at the moment, even before COVID. Lots of people are struggling to get access to services. There's even bigger backlog now. We know, myself working in the NHS, there's a lack of resources, and those people who want to get help find it difficult. A community place-based setting like this, in terms of the People's Place, will obviously encourage people to come and see someone else who's got those mental health issues. They can support them. They know it's in a friendly environment. They've got the trusted brand of the club, and they know it's something that we've been working on for years, so we can carry on doing it and giving those sort of professional standards that we always aim to achieve. And it's the important thing, it's not just for Everton fans, it's for everyone. It's the whole community, everyone across the Merseyside region. We engage with everyone from young age to old age. We're trying to make things better in terms of mental health, and that's what we're going to keep on doing.
Definitely, and in terms of location, as you said, it's not just strictly for Evertonians. Everybody in Merseyside and the region is welcome. It's here to help everybody, but it's situated, of course, on Spellow Lane, less than 500 metres from Goodison Park, so it's a nice, easy place for people to find, isn't it?
Yeah, people can see the ground when they come into the People's Place, the People's Hub. It's a short walk round to the club. It's that engagement, it's that recognition. People come and want to speak to us just for being as part of the football club, and that's what we want. We want to break down those barriers of mental health. We want to make people come and feel relaxed, and they can talk about their problems, and they know they're going to get that help.
Definitely, it really is such a fantastic thing. And you just mentioned there as well, Chris, about the NHS and having this hub for well-being and mental health. That will help alleviate some of the pressure, won't it, on the NHS, which has been bombarded, really. As you said, mental health's always been something that's very real, but over the COVID times, the last few years, it's gotten a lot worse, hasn't it, with people?
Most definitely. I mean, before COVID, there was a sort of significant struggle in people getting mental help that they need. Everyone's been forced into isolation, not being able to talk to people. They've had that lack of social contact with friends, work colleagues, those sort of things that help you get through the day. We realise that now it's even a bigger problem, even though some people are getting back to work, but you've had 2 years of not getting the access to the treatment that they need. We need to sort of catch up and make sure we're doing the right thing for the right people, and I'm sure we can.
Definitely. Well, Dr. Christopher from Sunlight Group in Wirral, and going to be the resident GP at the People's Place. It's been fantastic to have you here today, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Dr. Chris there, and more about the People's Place. It's fantastic, isn't it, Graham? You know, what's going on just down Spellow Lane, the facilities and everything to help support people's well-being, mental health, all the rest of it.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that's another string to our bow again. In basically looking after the people around the L4 area. Is that loud enough? I have to start shouting down the camera now.
We've got a dodgy ticker here, come on.
So it's, no, it is. It's vitally important that we do our bit. We always have done as a football club. We do so much good off the pitch. We've got to replicate it and do some good on the pitch as well. That's the most important thing, because as much as we're very proud of what we do in the community, and we benefit so many people around it, especially now with the People's you know, the People's Hub and, you know, the People's Place, you know, looking after free school and stuff like that. Everybody's got their duty to look after their, you know, the local area and what have you, and we do it very, very well. But we mustn't lose sight of the fact that the fans want a successful side as well. So we've got to get the balance right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely spot on. And of course, it starts on the football pitch, and it starts this afternoon. It's massive. We were just talking off air there a little bit more about the teams today and looking a little bit more at Leeds and where they might hurt us. Rafinha, of course, we know he's a real threat. Bamford's out injured at the moment, which is a positive, but Daniel James is coming through as that sort of false nine. Yeah. He got a brace against Villa in the week. So they have got players that can hurt us, haven't they?
Well, they have. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're a very, very athletic side. There's plenty of pace in wide areas as well. So we're going to have to deal with that, and we're going to have to be careful and clever in the way we go about it as well. You know, and that's another reason why I think we might play 4-4-2, because they've got so much pace down the sides. You know, you can have your fullback protected by your wide man a little bit as well, and you can double up on the wide men because they are quick, and they're a major threat. They scored 3 at Villa in midweek as well, and Villa are a decent side as well. So we've got to be very, very calculated in what we do here this afternoon.
Do you think that we need to take the game to Leeds? Do you think we need to be offensive, or do you think we sit and take a little bit of pressure, absorb that first, and then try and catch them?
No, I mean, I think obviously you don't go gung-ho about things. I mean, that stands to reason. You try and be as professional and positive as you can be. Goodison Park always responds to tempo.
Yeah.
Make sure you start at a good tempo. Let's get the ball wide. Let's you know, impose ourselves on Leeds rather than letting Leeds dictate the game, because the fans don't like that.
No.
They don't want to sit back. And if the truth be known, we're really not very good at sitting back and soaking pressure up. We've got to take the game to them. Plenty of intensity, and hopefully we'll come out on top at the end of the 90 minutes.
Definitely, and that's what you need, isn't it? You know, I think when Everton sit off a bit, you feel the frustrations building in the ground. When we take the front foot and we have a go, it takes, you know, near enough 40,000 in here, and it gets building, doesn't it? It's intimidating.
You know, and the manager's spoken about it as well. He's very much aware of the, you know, the intimidatory side of Goodison Park when we get it right, and you get that by starting off at 100 mile an hour. Don't give Leeds any space to relax and play on the pitch. You know, close them down. Let's press them high up the pitch. Let's win the ball back. Get some crosses in. We got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He wants service. He wants balls in the box.
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure that we provide him with that. And obviously that gets people off the seats, and gets people excited. Get some challenges in. Never nothing wrong with a tackle at Goodison Park, is there? So, you know, it's relatively obvious to sit here and to stand here and say it, but you've got to go out and do it. There's no point in talking about it. Talk's cheap. We haven't got time for talk anymore. We've got to start delivering out on the pitch and getting 3 points.
Actions, results, performances, and somebody that is in that starting 11 that we're all thrilled about, Anthony Gordon. Obviously he has been, and we keep speaking about him, but he's been such a bright spark. It could be his game today, don't you think, to try and do something, and he'll get the fans really excited.
Look, he's a bit of a fan's favourite at the moment, Anthony, and they like a young lad, a local lad, to come out and put the blue shirt on and play with pride and passion, and Anthony's been doing that. You know, he's getting himself around the pitch, he's closing people down, he's shown some good pieces of quality in the final third as well. Still more to come from him. You know, he's still learning the game, really. He's still a young man, but he's certainly given us a bit of hope, hasn't he? Because he's a passionate kid, and the fans like the look of him.
Definitely, we do like the look of Anthony Gordon. Fearless he is, absolutely fearless, and we love that. Speaking of him, here he is with Begovic ahead of this weekend's Super Bowl.
I think I'd be a wide receiver, you know, first 5-10 yards, so I think I could get away from people, and I'm a good catcher as well.
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. So I played a little bit of American football growing up. I was either a quarterback or a tight end. So I like to throw the ball, I like to run an offense, but if not, I think I'd be a nice target for the quarterback to throw to, or helping protect them by blocking nicely as well.
40 yards. That's interesting because I give Ben time to catch up to me. I'm going to back myself. He's statistically quicker than me, but I'll back myself in that one.
40-yard dash would be Ben Godfrey or Demarai Gray.
I'd probably go with maybe Andros. He does low. He doesn't even look it, but he does a lot of chest press in the gym. He's always in the gym, and his pecs are massive, so I'll go Andros.
Oh, bench press. Who's got a bit? I think Yermina's got a bit in the bench press. Andy Lonergan's got a little bit in the bench press. He's quite a strong guy, so I'd go between one of those two.
Dom. That's without question. It's scary how high he can jump.
DCL. I think Dom will be the one.
I'd have to go Asmir because he's got the size. He's big. He's got good hands. Obviously, he's a goalkeeper, but his knowledge of American football's crazy. So I'd trust him to be my quarterback.
I think Jordan's got a good arm. You know, you'd like to have one of the goalkeepers who can kind of sling the ball around a little bit. I think he would be the next best choice, I think.
Me. I think I'm the quickest over like 5-10 yards, so I trust myself to get away from people.
Well, you'd like someone tall if you can, someone speedy. So again, I think you'd like a Demarai Gray. He'd be the Sean Jackson type, maybe Jamar Chase, who can beat people 1v1. I really would love to have him as a weapon. Who else would be out there? Would be good. Someone like Alex Iwobi could run a few routes in the slot. So one of those two guys.
Gotta be Pickers, I think. He's so used to kicking the ball that long, and he can kick it a mile. I'd go him. He's got a really good left foot as well. So.
Oh, best field goal kicker, Jordan Pickford.
Brilliant stuff there from Begovic and Anthony Gordon, excited for this weekend Super Bowl. We've just been talking there as well, off a little bit about the new boys, obviously, Dele and Donny. One start for one of them today, but do you think we'll see Dele today?
Yeah, I do. I think at some point we'll see him, because I think it's important that he gets, as we said, minutes on the pitch. I think it's probably the correct decision from Frank to, he could have played Dele and left Donny out, but, I don't think playing the pair of them would have been a great idea, with them both trying to catch up to, to full fitness. So I'm sure we will at some point see Dele, but then again, horses for courses, depends on the state of the game. If we hopefully we're winning the game comfortably, we're in control of it, and he might think to himself, look, I'm not gonna mess this about. I'm happy with what we're doing. The most important thing's 3 points, so I'll stay as we are. But my gut feeling tells me at some point Dele will probably appear on the pitch.
Yeah, well, it would be great to see Dele make his debut at Goodison Park. Of course, it's a special stadium. I think the players have just come out behind us there, have we? Judging by that roar, there he is, Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. It is great to see him and his delightful hair back on the Goodison Park pitch. And it'd be great to see him back on the score sheet as well today. Is there any other players for you today?
Well, do you know what? I'm looking at we looked at the bench, and I'm thinking, who could come on and affect things in different ways if required. And Al Ghazi, we haven't seen anything of him so far. And I've seen him a few times for Villa, and he's certainly got ability. There's no doubt about that. And he can create opportunities. He can score you a goal as well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Al Ghazi at some point as well. But again, dependent on the state of the game.
Yeah, and he's fast as well. I believe he's meant to be probably the fastest player that Everton have got now. So I've heard. So could that be something that could benefit us a bit of pace as well?
Anybody, it's a great asset to have pace. Defenders hate people who've got pace. So, if required, get him out there, get him the ball, and let him go past people, because that's what wide men are supposed to be doing. They're supposed to create opportunities, get past their fullback, and get crosses in the box or shots on goal. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do that.
Yeah, it will be, and it'll be interesting to see if he does play, because of course it's been a bit of a funny one, El Ghazi, hasn't he? It was a bit of, when he came in, Didn't really know if that was a position we necessarily needed to strengthen. We have got quite a few wingers, but certainly, I'm sure, will be desperate to make his debut for Everton. And he's got a point to prove, hasn't he?
Of course, he's got a point to prove as well. Yeah, I mean, all the players have got points to prove somewhere along the line. But I think the good thing is it just gives you options. You know, it was only a month, 6 weeks ago where we looked at our bench and it was full of kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes we weren't even filling the bench. That's the dire position we were in. Now all of a sudden, you look at the bench and you think to yourself, right, okay, well he could come on and potentially do that. He could do that. So that's what you need as a manager, what you hope to have as a manager. And I'm sure Frank will utilise that as best he possibly can.
Definitely, and we can see on our screens there at the moment, we're just tracking Donny van der Beek, the man on loan from Manchester United. He was fantastic at Ajax, wasn't he? An unbelievable player. Didn't really happen for him at Manchester United. No. And now, so talk about players with point to prove. That man right there is one of them.
He has, and hopefully he uses that to his, to push on for us. Because, look, you don't go to Man United unless you're a decent player. Fact. And we know that he ripped it up at Ajax. But then you've got to remember that he's playing for the best team in the Eredivisie, and they're winning week in, week out. So, he should be performing good players. So the Premier League is totally different. And again, I keep going back to it, but he's probably not 100% up to speed. But there was a few glimpses at Newcastle the other night that he wants to get on the ball. He wants to make things happen in the midfield. Got to make sure they're giving him options in front of him as well. So the Richarlisons, the calvert-lewins, the Anthony Gordons, got to give him options. Give him, at the end of the day, he can only pass to somebody if they're giving him an option. So we've got to make it easy for a whole lot easier for everybody. Not just Donny. Everybody, fullbacks when they get the ball, midfield players, give people options all around the pitch to pass to.
Absolutely, that's what we need, options, that's what we want. But here we are with Danny Cadamarteri. I spoke to him ahead of this game. Welcome back to Everton Live, and I am delighted to be joined by Danny Cadamarteri. Danny, welcome back to Goodison Park.
Thank you.
First of all, how are you and what are you up to these days?
It's great to be back, lovely feel, excited for the game. What am I doing? I'm head of youth development at Sheffield United, so I'm still within football and enjoying that, as well as having my own academy. So yeah, always feet first in football.
Absolutely, so your own academy as well, that's fantastic. So still heavily involved in a beautiful game.
I am, I can't get away from it.
And now we've got you here on Everton Live as well to talk about this massive game today, Everton versus Leeds. I was just saying to you off camera there, little bit of nerves, obviously, given where we are in the table, given the significance of this game and the unfortunate news of injuries as well this week to the likes of Godfrey Mina, Damari Gray, Decore on top of that. Yeah. How do we get a result today?
I think it's tough, innit? I think the fans will play a massive part, won't they? They're going to have to, in terms of that extra man we spoke about it earlier on, and I think that's the biggest factor for me in terms of the fans getting behind the team. But Frank Lampard, first game at home, that's got to be a pull, and you know what you're going to get with Leeds. Leeds will go all out attack. They're going to look to score goals, so hopefully we can hit them on the counter as well and hit them the other end. And then it might be Tinat's time at some point, mightn't it, and just weather a bit of a storm.
Definitely, it's going to be tough because, as you said, Leeds, they are such an offensive side. They will not relent, they're relentless, they will keep going, and that's going to be dangerous for us given the injuries we've got to the back four. However, for as good as Leeds are going forward, they're equally as bad sometimes at the back. They're there to be exploited, aren't they, if we can have a go at them?
Yeah, definitely. I think at the end of the day, you've seen results over the course of the season. They concede goals. So the first, I'm pretty sure Frank Lampard will be looking and thinking, we might concede, we're a bit fragile at the back, but we will score goals. So this could be anything, couldn't it? It could be one of them goals.
Scores.
7 splits, an exciting game, but goes in our favour.
Definitely, that's all that matters, isn't there? I'm sure there will be goals, but as long as Everton score more than Leeds, that's what we want, because, we're at the wrong end of the table, and you know about that yourself at Everton. In the 90s, we know we were sort of struggling. You were a real bright spark who'd come through the academy and give us all a lot of hope that time. But that game against Coventry United, we don't want it to go like that, do we? We don't want it to go this far this season.
I was speaking to one of my friends about that on the way over, and I knew that would come up in terms of where we are in the table, how things have been going, and that famous game and that famous goal, which obviously was Gareth Farrelly, and we don't want to be in that position. I think the benefit for us as a club at the time is we had some young kids coming through that didn't really have fear because they didn't know what to expect. And I think that's my hope over the course of this season now, is that Frank Lampard's renowned for, at Derby, he brought a few young players over from Chelsea. At Chelsea, he used young players. At Everton, we've got young players. the reality of it, the dogs of war and all that old school kind of mentality, and having some homegrown kids that might get filtered through Frank Lampard, that know how important it is to make sure that we stay in this division, might just end up being a key factor of the club, just making sure that we just stay in and then go again next season.
Definitely, and we need that dogs of war mentality today, no doubt about that. Obviously, I've got to talk about that goal against Liverpool as well. I've got Danny Cadamarteri, I've got to talk about that here at Goodison Park, 2-0 win. Obviously, 18 years of age, so you're product of the club's academy as well. How did that feel?
I can't tell. The best thing for me every time I come back here is all the staff, groundsmen, everybody that that I've grown up seeing as being a kid coming through. They're still here. It's a family club, and it gives me a buzz. Don't matter what game it is, I'm coming here. It gives me a buzz. When you come out to Goodison Park, I have two main memories. There's lots of great memories, but the Arsenal game scoring me and Borley, the two youngest kids, to score in the Premier League game at the same time, and the Merseyside that goal right there,
right here in the park
running
end.
From down here. Whacking Cavani, which now in
on
VAR,
his backside,
VAR would have pulled it all the way back as soon as it got in the goal and said it was no goal. But getting through there, cutting in with Ruddock, who did a pirouette, and it was probably looked a bit like I do now with a little bit of a bit more timber on, and then sticking it in past David James. It's something you'll never forget. My kids still play it. It comes up on Twitter and it gives you hairs on the back of your neck, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It's every time we face them lot, that the Cadamarteri goal is going to be on Twitter. And it's just brilliant, as you said, for all those reasons you just listed. But I want to talk to you about Anthony Gordon as well. Obviously, like yourself, young lad, he gets this club, he's come through. Yeah. He's been fantastic, hasn't he? And he seems to really thrive, actually, under this pressure.
Yeah, I think it's important. And we were really lucky as young kids coming through that we were given opportunities. And he's getting that same opportunity. And being around the club and the history and everything that's fed into you through the club, the importance of this club, the longest serving club in the Premier League, in top flight football, so he knows, homegrown player come through, played the mini derbies, played the local games against the Man Cities and Man Uniteds as coming through, but sat in the stands and watched the games and knows the field, knows the fans, and all his mates and his family will be sat watching the game, and he's done that. So it means so much, and sometimes that gets you over the line. It's a bit different. You could be a 20-30 million pound superstar, but you haven't sat in the stand with these fans, whether it's the Gladys Street, the Park End, the Upper Bullens, the main, wherever, you haven't sat and had that feel of how important it is to play when you get out there, and that can be massive for him. And he's got an opportunity and he's got a great chance, and I'm excited to see where he ends up long term as well.
Definitely. Well, hopefully it will be with Everton, because he's certainly a bright spark. Danny, I'm ready to go now for this game after listening to that. I'm ready for it. I'm inspired.
You got your boots?
Oh, I might need them, mightn't I? Let's get on.
Jump in and get in there if we need to.
We'll replicate that Merseyside derby goal, eh? That's brilliant. Well, Danny, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Do we think we're going to win?
Of course we're going to win. 9-8.
9-8, you heard it here first. Danny Cadamarteri, thank you so much. And now we'll hear from somebody in the starting 11 ahead of this one.
Mason, you've had contrasting results over the last week. I'm assuming you want more like the Brentford game today.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously we were upsetting not to get the result on Tuesday, but it's gone now. There's nothing we can do about that, and there's nothing we can do about the win before. We just need to keep getting results and putting performances in, and that starts today.
First home league game for the new manager, and then the new signings, I'm sure, are settling in as well. Do you think we'll see more from them?
Yeah, definitely. I think the quality of what they are is going to show, and I think that's going to come into it now. They've both obviously came on in the week, and now I'm sure that they're ready to make a bigger contribution and help us in the direction we're all pushing to.
And you know what you're going to get against Leeds today. They'll run and run all day long. Is it a particular challenge?
Yeah, it's a unique challenge, as in not many teams, well, they're the only team in the league that play the way they do, but we know what they're about. It's not going to come as a surprise. It's all about matching what they do, and then hopefully our quality will take us through.
Just hurriedly trying to finish my extra strong mint now.
Yeah, that I looked after you with, didn't I?
You did.
There you go.
Diamond, he's a nice guy, honestly.
Always bring the sweets.
You always bring me sweets. I appreciate that, absolutely. Mason Holgate there. Bit of a mixed bag of fortunes for him recently. Scored against Brentford, unfortunately. Well, he improvised for the goal that we scored, but then at the other end, he scored the own goal. What have you made of him in recent weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Mason's again, I look at Mason and he does some fantastic stuff. He's a very, very talented boy.
Yeah.
But he still makes too many mistakes, and I'm sure if Mason was stood here now, he'd hold his hands up and say, yeah, I've got to take that one on the chin. You know, the prime example was the mistake he made up at Newcastle when giving the ball away.
Yeah.
And all that is a little bit of experience and recognising game management. So we've scored a goal, we've quietened the crowd down at St James's Park. When you get the ball, don't try and play, you know, drop balls into midfield. Just turn them, get it away from your back four, anything like along those lines, just so that you don't give Newcastle a chance to get back in the game straight away, which is what happened. So plenty of talent there's no doubt about it, but game management's important for Mason, I think.
It is, because it's those mistakes, and again, Frank Lampard spoke in his press conference about it, that, you know, the game itself against Newcastle, it looked pretty even until, of course, it was individual errors and mistakes that ultimately they honed in on top of that, the crowd as well, and they made it really, really difficult for Everton.
And they will do, but it's no different. I said it off air just to you before, didn't it? It's no different to what we do here.
Yeah.
We want our crowd to intimidate the opposition, just like Newcastle did the other night. And you look at the flack Jordan Pickford got off the Newcastle fans the other night. That's what they try and do. They try and intimidate.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of Jordan Pickford there, I know, you know, his critics have started to rear their head again in recent weeks a little bit, but he's been superb, hasn't he, for the last 12 months or so, Pickford?
Look, if you're England's #1 goalkeeper, and the minute you make an error or that, you know, a goal looks a little bit soft, the critics come out the woodwork. It's as simple as that. That's just the way life is with social media and what have you. No one's ever going to be 100% happy with every single player on the pitch, but like I've said numerous times, and I stand by it, Jordan Pickford is the least of our worries.
Absolutely.
We've got bigger issues than Jordan Pickford. I think his form has, in the main, been excellent. His shot stopping's outstanding. If you gave him a wish and said, you know, what would you wish for, he'd probably say probably another 2 inches in height. But, you know, what goalkeeper wouldn't want that? But yeah. I think if you watch his development of his game, he comes out and he doesn't take chances on catching unless he's 100% certain it's going to be a clean take. He seems to punch a bit more now, and that's probably because every so often he's, you know, a ball drop in, and he's not the tallest goalkeeper you've ever seen in life. He's not short, obviously, but he makes a decision to punch.
Yeah.
And I think Alan Kelly, the goalkeeper coach as well, I think Alan's made a big difference to him as well, because Alan's vastly experienced. You know, he had a wonderful career, great fella, and I think he's really done well for Jordan. I think he's calmed him down a little bit as well. So all in all, as I say, I'm a big Jordan Pickford fan. I'm not one of the people who's going to look at him and think, oh dear, we need a new goalkeeper. Not a chance.
Not a chance. England's #1, as you say, and you know, he is somebody that I think when you're a goalkeeper, you're the last man between the net and your team conceding a goal. So you can do so many things right and well as a goalkeeper, but you make one mistake, and that's the thing.
It's always highlighted. It's always been the way, and it always will be the way. But you know, Jordan could look around and flip it the other way and saying, well, listen, lads, how about giving me a bit more protection at times as well? Because, you know, as a 10 players in front of him, they've also got a responsibility to make sure the ball doesn't get to him easy. So, you know, he can easily flip it round the other way and say, look, I can't always bail you out, lads. How about give me a little bit of protection in front? And he'd be right.
Definitely, and you can see he's very vocal, isn't he, Jordan? You know, if he's not happy with something, he will let that back four in front of him know, and today will be no different.
Well, you know, again, it's vitally important that your goalkeeper can communicate. You know, and that's another thing that's been disappointing for us all season. Really, is because anywhere else on the pitch you can probably get away with it, but as a back four or a back three and a goalkeeper, you want to try and get as many people playing on a regular basis, so you build up that relationship. So the two centre halves have a great relationship, a great understanding. The goalkeeper's used to seeing Michael Keane and Yerry Mina, for argument's sake, in front of him. Ben Godfrey, you know, as a three, whatever way it is. That's the ideal scenario. We're chopping and changing left, right and centre because of the injuries, and it's very hard to build up relationships.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's so difficult when that back four is changing, literally week in, week out, to gain any sort of momentum. But from one end of the pitch to the other, I know we've spoken a lot about him, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin, again, you know, last season was our top goal scorer, being linked with so many clubs and stuff like that because he's such a talent. It's massive having him back in the team, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is huge. I mean, as I say, number 9, it's the most important position on the pitch. It always has been. Your goal scorers, the goal scorers get all the headlines. They earn the top dollar. So it's like vitally important that if you can get your number 9 on the pitch, you do it. And Frank's had that opportunity this afternoon. I think one thing we sometimes overlook with Dominic as well is there's nothing wrong with getting the ball in midfield and hitting that diagonal ball, because he's so good in the air, and if you've got Richarlison or Andy Gordon running off him, it can be such a weapon for us, because he's got probably as good a spring as any centre forward in the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, his timing's been a little bit out because he's injured and he's been getting back to fitness. But when we can get the right delivery to him, he can be a threat in front of goal, but he also can be a threat in terms of flicking balls on or knocking balls down.
He's such a physical specimen, isn't he? You know, his hold-up playing, as you said, aerially, the height that guy gets on his jumps, and it will give the Leeds, who, you know, with all due respect, have been pretty rocky at the back, it will give them something to think about when they know they've got him.
Well, 100%. I mean, but you know, he's got all the assets. He's got decent pace about him. His movement's good, so he can get down the sides. He's aerially, he's a threat as well, and he knows where the back of the net is. So all the tools are there. We just need him up to speed as quick as we possibly can, and make sure the other players in the side don't ignore the qualities that he has. Mix your game up. You don't always have to play perfect football and score the perfect goal. There's nothing wrong with the old diagonal, knock it down and finish.
Absolutely, that's it. You know, we don't really care at this point how we score, how we play, as long as we get the 3 points. We're at that point, aren't we, Graham, now, where it's about, you know, means to an end, like getting through. And this game now, Everton, the season, the way it's gone, obviously none of us foresaw this, none of us wanted it to go this way, but we just have to, by hook or by crook, get something from this game today.
We need to get over the line. I mean, look, you don't want to put it solely on this game, but it's the one in front of us, and we've got to perform and try and get the 3 points. And you're quite right, I think all of us here today, we all want to see Everton Football Club playing good football. All, you know, the successful Everton sides over the years have played attractive football, passionate football, good tempo. We want to see that. But look, at the end of the day, if you've got to get over the line and get 3 points, unfortunately, because of the position we find ourselves, that's the most important thing for us today. So by hook or by crook, get some points on the board, do it quickly, because, you know, I don't want to be visiting the people's place. I'm telling you.
We're not sleeping well, are we, at the moment, Simon? Let's be honest. Well, the man hoping to lead us to a win and 3 points today is our manager, Frank Lampard, and here's what he had to say ahead of this game.
Frank, your first two games have been very different emotions. We know which one you'd like today. How confident are you having it?
Well, in terms of the atmosphere, I'm confident. The fans will be here. They'll back us. I know that. We felt that last Saturday. And the onus is then on us as a team to give them something to get behind. So, yeah, players have to start that process. If we can get together, join up, as this place can do, it can be a huge help to you. But it's a very tough game for us today, so we'll need to be all together.
You've been able to freshen up the team. Calvert-Lewin is back, the home debut as well for Donny van de Beek. Big day for him. Yeah, and delighted to get Donny in the starting lineup. He's here to play. Came on against Newcastle and showed bits, but he'll show more as he goes along. But he's a fantastic player, and I want to see him settle very quickly into the team. And Dominic is, you know, a talisman for us. So it's been difficult this season for him with the injuries he's had, but in recent weeks, the last injury was a knock, wasn't so much a real fundamental problem, so hopefully he's in a good place, and pleased to have him out there. And you know what you're going to get from Leeds. They're going to run all day. They're a particular challenge, aren't they?
Yeah, we saw that. You see them play in the week. Aston Villa, fantastic performance to be 3-1 down and keep playing, keep going. That's the way the manager has them playing, how they coached, how their style of play as such, and you have to match them on a physical level. So that's the first thing for us to do, and then believe in ourselves and trust in what we do.
Well, there you have it. We've heard from the boss, and that's about all there is time for here on Everton Live. Graham Stuart, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure.
We're going to win today.
Oh, anything. You've eaten all my sweets as well, haven't you, as well? So, but no. So it could be your perfect day, eating all my sweets and 3 points for the toffees. That's the most important thing. Nothing else matters. If we get a great performance, fantastic. But most important thing, 3 points, and let's get up that lead.
Let's do it. That's what we want. But just a reminder to everybody, it is Everton in the community's 34th birthday today. Make sure that you donate to what is a fantastic cause. And we have here, handy, got the Everton in the community shirt. We just
spin it round. There we go.
That's all the information you need to donate, and thank you to everybody at Everton in the community, Karina Duffy, everybody that works there, absolutely fantastic. That's us for Everton Live. Come on, you Blues, and we'll see you next time.